Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Togetherness Show, where we have conversations to empower people who are fighting back against dementia. I'm your host, Mike Good. Today, I've got the privilege of having Harry Urban on the show. Now, Harry was diagnosed with dementia, probably of Alzheimer's, back in 2004. So, from my perspective, he's been living successfully with dementia for more than a decade. I discovered Harry through Lori LeBay's Dementia Chat Show more than a year ago. And if you don't know Harry, you'll see that he has a great sense of humor, but he also, at the same time, he tells it like it is. No BS. Harry's got a lot going on. Among other things, he founded a Facebook dementia support group called Forget Me Not. He writes on his daily blog, mythoughtsondementia.com. And he co-founded Dementia Mentors, an organization that brings people with dementia together to support one another. And now he's working on his United Against Dementia initiative, which is the main topic of our conversation today. Welcome, Harry.
Thank you, Mike. So glad to be here.
So last week, Harry, you and I talked on Lori's Alzheimer's Speaks Radio a little bit about volunteering and how to get people involved, and that's when you brought up your initiative, United Against Dementia. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about what that is?
Sure. United Against Dementia isn't a group like on Facebook. You do not have to join. United Against Dementia is going to be individuals, it's going to be businesses, organizations. It's anybody that wants to be united against dementia. Now, I had a dream that I would like to see. There's so many people out there working towards bringing dementia awareness, creating dementia-friendly cities and stuff like that. That I wanted to have something that we can come together, that everybody isn't inventing the wheel.
Right.
Now, as an example, when I started talking about volunteering, a group out in California, I live in Pennsylvania, a group out in California sent me an email saying that we have a similar program here. And of course, my eyes lit up. And I asked him, I said, would you be willing to share information on how you did it, got started? Absolutely. So we had some rather good talks, and that's what got me going on this. Now, my idea is that we could have a group of volunteers visit memory care facilities. Now, if you go into any care facility, it's empty. The patients are, now I'm going to be a little bit strong about this, but the patients are brought in, dropped off, and forgotten. Not every place, but so many that I visit. The people never get any visitors, maybe once a week, once a month, whatever. Now, I know there's a lot of problems why people can't visit, but if I can get a group of volunteers come in, and this group of volunteers could be the Rotary Club, the Lions Club, any civic organization. We could get the high school kids, college groups, anybody that wants to get credits for civic duty, anybody like that. Then after I can get them in, then I want to set up memory cafes. Now, our memory cafes are
well, Harry.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the memory cafes, if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about that volunteering aspect.
Sure.
Because memory cafes are a little bit different. We'll come back to that because they're very important. But the volunteering, as I've mentioned to you, I actually probably part of that organization in California called the Guardian Angels, and I get to go into the facilities or the communities, and you're right. There's a lot of residents there. there's a lot of busy staff members that are trying to do their best to acknowledge the people and work with them. And but there are a lot of people that are just sitting in chairs, lonely or appear lonely and isolated. And I agree with you. Now, I think one way we have to think about getting these volunteers is we have to educate them about the fact that there is this situation going on. Just because, for instance, when I was leading my busy life as in defense industry, I didn't realize that there was all this need out there and this opportunity to volunteer and help others. So I just wanted to share with you, some of it's just about educating these organizations that, hey, there is a need, we could use you. And I think the communities like you've talked about would open their arms to have volunteers.
Now you have to realize, and you have to make the volunteer understand that we that live with dementia live in a different world than you.
Right.
Now, when you visit me, you are coming into my world, which is totally different than yours. Now, you have to have the mindset that, number one, you can't fix me. You know,
Right.
that's not why you're there. You have to understand and accept the strange things I might do, the things I might say.
Right.
It's a completely different world. That's why you have to be mature enough to handle something like that. Like I say, high school kids. Obviously, junior high might be too young. Like seniors or something like that, college students, people like that. But you have to be real careful, and you have to learn how to communicate with me.
True. True.
Because I no longer communicate the same way you do.
That's right, Harry. I find that most of the people just want somebody to talk to, and even if it's about Elvis Presley, or which is what happened to me just last week. A lady was talking to me about Elvis, and you know, and bless her heart, she didn't realize that he'd passed almost 40 years ago. But of course, you know, you can't try to you don't want to tell her that. You want to live in the moment with her, and she got a lot of joy out of that. And so you're right, it takes a little bit of special understanding, and but I think that companionship and that just wanting someone to talk to and share with is very valuable.
Yeah. We tell the volunteers that you have to learn how to listen.
True.
Okay, when you go in, the person may not be very active verbally, but they're there, and you have to learn how to communicate with them. Now, once you bridge that gap, you have to listen. Like if you can lead them into stories, just listen to their stories. You know, no matter how far-fetched they are. You know, like I've talked to people that, well, that's another program. But
Right.
anyway, you have to be open and you have to listen. That I think that's the key. Like walk in the halls with somebody. So many times you walk the halls with somebody and just hold their hands
Right.
and let them know they're not alone. And if they feel like talking, fine. If they don't feel like talking, don't go in thinking you have to fill up the time, because it doesn't work like that. You know, you have to just go with the flow and let it happen.
That's so true. Sometimes it's just holding their hand or a simple smile, just sitting next to them. That companionship of knowing someone's there. And I find a lot of the stories are very real and true stories, and it's really nice to hear those stories about their past and live in those moments with them.
What's scary, Mike, is now I was diagnosed 11 years ago with probably Alzheimer's, but I'm now telling those stories. You know, when people come to me, I live in the 50s and 60s. And that's where my mindset is. Um, if we're talking about something and somebody asks me, where do you go? Well, how do you get there? You know, I always say, well, you go down here at the at Nichols and you make, well, Nichols went out of business 40 years ago. It's now some shopping center, I believe. But I mean, you have to go with the flow,
Right,
and uh, and please don't try to correct me. I mean, just listen
right.
to what I'm saying and let me tell you my story.
Yeah, and interesting that you're aware of that. You know that that's going on, and that's something I wouldn't have understood a couple of years ago. That people with Alzheimer's and dementia are, they may have these different needs or struggles or whatever word we want to put on it, but they understand.
You have to realize there is life after diagnosis. Uh, I remember the things I forgot. I say that all the time, and people just look at me, okay, he has Alzheimer's. But what I'm saying is, I remember the things I used to do. I just don't know how to do them anymore.
Right, right,
You know, I remember the days I used to be able to do, say, woodworking things. Well, I can't do that now because I can't use power tools, but I can't follow directions. I can't follow a plan, a drawing, or anything to build something.
right.
But I
So
remember the times I used to.
yeah, so back to the volunteers, we just need to make sure that they're given some trying kind of training to help they understand. Maybe they go along with somebody a couple times first to kind of get a feel for it, because it is a unique situation and takes a special amount of companionship and understanding to do that. And you talk about in your email to me, you mentioned that you wanted to help start mentor programs in in some of these communities or for people with dementia. You can you elaborate
What
on that a little bit?
what what uh, what I did, Mike, is I partnered up with Lancaster General Health, which is a very large hospital here in the Pennsylvania area. And what we do is I go in and I speak to the newly diagnosed patients.
Okay.
Okay, now I can't give them medical advice, financial advice, anything like that because I'm just not qualified to do that. But I can tell them what it's like living this disease. When I was when I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it, like most people, here's a prescription. I'll see you in 6 months.
That just blows
Well,
me away.
I was scared to death. I had no idea what was coming. Well, these mentor sessions are designed that I can go in there and kind of. Uh, now we usually get like 30 people at a time, and speak to them and just kind of give them hope. There is life after diagnosis. You know, I felt I had a death sentence. I was scared to
Wow.
death. I put myself into the late stages automatically, not even realize how many years were in between.
Mm,
Uh, and then after I get done with my speak, they're offered a like 6 to 8 week program, and this program is more set up like a support program. It teaches them how to accept their diagnosis and how to do things, the changes in their life, um, maybe dietary things, so forth and so on. Now, after that 6 to 8 week period is over, then that's when the memory phase come in.
right.
Okay, after they feel comfortable with the disease, they accepted the disease, then they can move forward with it.
Right. Right. I'm just shocked that people are given a diagnosis and say, okay, we'll see you in 6 months. And that's quite a scary thing, and probably a big reason a lot of people don't seek out a diagnosis too, because the fear that's involved with all that. So I think that's an excellent idea, and um, I'd love to see that incorporated out here in San Diego County. Now we are, I'm excited and I'm going to cross my fingers, but I think we're on the verge of getting some memory cafes started in San Diego County. And
Excellent.
yeah, and that's thanks to you and the talk on Michael on Lori LeBay's Alzheimer's or dementia chats, excuse me, inspiring me to kind of push it, and I think I got to the right people. So we're gonna keep our fingers crossed there, and because for our viewers, our listeners that don't know, but memory cafes are a place for people with dementia and their loved ones to come and be around other people in their same situation to have support, and there can be an educational topic, there can just be an activity thing, it can be just socializing, but there's really no place other than these cafes for those people with dementia and their loved ones to come together, and I think they're an excellent idea, Harry.
There's no place, Mike, we can go that we can enjoy ourselves without being judged.
Okay.
Okay. I can't go with a group of friends out, and somebody's always hesitant to talk to me because they don't know what to say. They've never been around anybody with dementia, and then they come across me, and oh my God, it's nothing like I thought dementia was like.
Right.
And that's the message I'm trying to get out, that I'm not special. Most people are like me, but you just have to know how to do it. And like on Memory Cafes, we do everything. Now you have to be careful that they don't fall into a caregiver's talk.
Okay.
Because the ratio between caregivers and people living with dementia is lopsided. A lot of times you have more caregivers showing up at a memory cafe than there is, and then all of a sudden it turns into problems of caring for somebody.
I see.
Now the ones I'm involved in, I try to stay focused on the people living this disease, the problems they are having. That's the time so many people ask me those personal questions, those questions that they're afraid to ask anybody else because of the answers they might get. And my goodness, I don't want you to know I have Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that's really good advice, Harry. I can see how that would have that potential of becoming another caregiver type meeting. So, but I think they're wonderful. You even do some virtual cafes, I believe.
Oh heavens, yeah. We have virtual cafes that involves Australia, United Kingdom, Wales, England, Canada, Mexico, all over the place. Christmas Eve, I have a virtual Christmas Eve party for people with dementia that are left alone at home.
Oh, wow, that's nice. That's nice.
They can come in and we can spend Christmas Eve together. Same thing with New Year's Eve. Christmas Eve was such a hit. Last year, I did it again this year, and people say, hey, that'd be nice to have a New Year's Eve party where we can go. So and we usually get maybe 25, 30 people. Some stay 5 minutes, but most stay the whole night.
Wow, that's really exciting. That's we're doing a virtual chat now, and it's a similar. We're talking before the show how you do something similar with a different platform. That's really neat. And with the we'll say brick and mortar memory cafes, the ones held in our communities, we could have those volunteers even come into there that we were talking about earlier, and that would be a good place to possibly help knock down some of those stigmas and help educate some of the younger people that we need to get to helping us in this initiative.
One of the things that we try to do, we try to pick a place that has open Wi-Fi. Okay, now why I say that is I can take my iPad to the memory cafe and I can set up another chat with somebody living with dementia and they have a son, daughter, whatever, in another state that they haven't seen for a couple months,
Nice.
and they can see and talk to them in my iPad, and it's really neat. I've seen so many times uh, people touching the screen of the iPad, or when the conversation is done, they kiss it, you know. And I'm saying, if we didn't have these memory cafes, if we didn't have these gatherings, if we didn't have volunteers going to memory care units doing the same thing, these people would be alone. I mean, in my eyes, there's no such thing as a long distance care partner when you can use so many different free video chat programs. You can talk to, if you want, you can talk and see your loved one every day, no matter where you are in the world.
That's so true, Harry. And I think I want to help change that with technology. And I think there's a lot of great unused opportunity out there that we can start try to use more. And that's a great thought. You one thing I like is you talk about the candy stripers of the past. Now, I'm familiar with them, but in case some of our viewers aren't, can you talk about? I'm going to switch back to the volunteers a little bit,
Sure, that's fine.
because I like the vision of the candy stripers coming in and the role they played where they helped out. Can you elaborate a little more on that part of your vision?
Sure, I don't think they exist anymore because times have changed so much. But candy
Right.
stripers back in my days were young ladies, normally that volunteered at a hospital doing non-medical chores. Okay, they were identified by a white dress with red stripes going down the dress, hence the
Okay.
name candy stripers. Now these candy stripers would do things like walk with the patient, talk to a patient, the non-medical chores to free up the staff. Now, my concept is that we can do the same things at memory care facilities. Why does a staff member have to, um, unless they want to, don't misunderstand, but why do they have to do those mundane chores when we can have volunteers come in that would probably do a better job at it because they had the time to do it? Okay, they can walk with the patients. They can do things, whatever they want. They can set up video chats with the patient. They can do anything. They can just be the friend.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to come back to the candy stripe, because I wanted our listeners to understand that to be a volunteer in the dementia community helping people, you don't need a medical background, you don't need a financial background, you just need to be a friend. And that helps the people there, that helps them have friendships and feel purpose in life, while it also helps free up the staff to care for these people a little more thoroughly on the backside of it, and with the medical needs and all. And I too, Harry, would love to see more volunteers walking around these communities. I find that most of the volunteers that I've run into, I shouldn't say most, but many of them are people whose loved one has passed on, and they were just so touched that they met somebody there, the resident, and they've become friends. So now they come back, and if we can help bridge the gap to inspire more people, I'm all for that.
When I put out a call for volunteers, I get many people raise their hand and I want to volunteer, and that's noble. I love them. I appreciate it, but you have to realize what you're stepping into. Now, I say that because you're stepping into my world. You're going to walk out of that place with tears in your eyes. You're going to walk out of that place with a heavy heart, and you're going to walk out with the sense of burnout. Do I want to do this? So it takes a special type of person to be a volunteer. But I'm telling you, once you get over your fears of, of being in a place like this, um, the rewards are great. I mean, you cannot. If you talk to candy stripers, they will tell you that was probably some of the best times of their lives, and it always brings a smile. And they saw the hardships in the hospital, and these volunteers are going to see the same thing, but they're going to walk away. They're going to walk away thinking, when I was a volunteer, that was the happiest part of my life.
I absolutely agree, Harry. And I was in my 40s before I ever did any volunteer work, and I'm blessed to be in that position now and do it. And it does touch you, and it helps define who you are and build purpose. So I highly recommend to anybody that's ever considered it to find a way. Maybe it's just going next door and helping an older adult that has lost a loved one, or maybe you see I got an 89-year-old friend that I see her cutting on her trees sometimes because her husband's not around and able to do it, but she wants to get it done. And I just go and I don't try to take over, but I assist her. And start if it's just little things like that, because our neighborhoods are full of people who need some help and some companionship. And Harry, you talk about and caregivers, people that are caring for loved ones, are all around us. And I read on your blog a quote of yours, and it's one thing you say is that you realize how hard this is on caregivers, and that awareness. And your quote says, "Why am I working so hard to get United Against Dementia off the ground? Just read the post in any dementia support group, and you will see the answers." And for you to have awareness like that, that's really eye-opening for me, and my ignorance, will say. But yeah, the caregivers, especially as the disease progresses, it becomes such an emotional time for them, and both and physical. And can you talk about how that side of it inspires you, Harry?
Sure. Uh, the the typical care partner is the person that is, nobody can do it better than me. The load falls on me. I have no one to turn to, and those are all true. But um, they don't realize that in order for you to care for me, you have to care for yourself. Okay, you have to be willing to accept the fact that you might need help caring for me, and that's why United Against Dementia is so important. That um, that we can have volunteers sit with somebody while their caregiver care partner gets some me time, gets away from this disease. I I make demands on my wife that she gets away from this disease as much as she can, because 24/7 would drag her down faster than it's dragging me down. And
Right.
I won't allow that. It's the same thing. You don't have to have dementia to have a volunteer. Seniors in the Northeast now, we're going through some very, very hard weather.
Right.
And if we could have volunteers just going to their neighborhood and checking up, doing a wellness check on their neighbors, to make sure that I've known so many people that the heat went out, they ran out of oil or something like that, and they're sitting in their homes in the freezing cold because they don't know what to do. That's reality. That's the things that we see. I see people that can't get out for groceries, so they do without. They can't get out for medication, so they do without. Things like that. Now, these volunteers can take over a lot of that responsibility too. It doesn't have to be with somebody with dementia in a memory care facility or something like that. It could be a senior that lives next door to you, down the block, across the street, things like that.
That that's so true, Harry. And bringing that awareness to people is so important. So we basically talk about how volunteers that want to help out and they can start by helping out in their own neighborhoods, and then if they want, they could possibly, contact some of these communities and help out by coming in and holding hands with somebody or just talking with somebody. In San Diego County, you can contact the Guardian Angel program. It's the one I'm involved with, and it's a really great organization that allows us to go in and help out. And so I know there are organizations around the country, but as you mentioned at the very beginning of the show, a lot of things are kind of siloed. This person's working on it, this person's working on it, but bringing everybody together or united is a great mission to have. And I hope to see it, and I hope to help you out with it, Harry.
I appreciate that so much.
So, let's talk about the challenges that you've faced with trying to, create a volunteer organization. How's that going?
Some of those challenges are huge. A lot of places don't want to admit they have a problem. Okay, they find all kind of reasons why we can't come in to help out. Liability reasons, things like that, and they might be good. They might be good reasons, but I say hogwash. Let's put aside the politics, and let's put aside the fears that we have. I'm not going to come in and take over your business. That's not the intent of what we do. I'm not going to come in and tell you how to run your business. That's not what we do. But I will come in and I'll sweep your floors for you. I will do anything for you that is going to, number one, let the resident be able to have some time with people. Okay.
Right.
And number two, free up your staff so they can do more one-on-one things, more things that are more important. There's not every complaint of a care facility is that they don't have the funds to get the help they need. They're understaffed. Okay. Well, I understand that it's a problem, and we're trying to give you a solution. That if we get united, that working together, we can find ways to help you out.
Right. And I've experienced very similar obstacles, if you will, and the way you explained it helped me understand that some of it's just the community's fear of having volunteers in there. I guess California has some pretty stringent laws, and those are in place for a good reason, obviously, but it also causes confusion, and some of the communities don't even know how to handle it, so they actually avoid asking for help with volunteers. But I think we can help change that. But you've had some successes too. So I know you're making some headway and you're getting some doors opened. And let's talk about the successes you've had.
Right now we have like 3 retirement communities that we're talking to and putting programs together. Like I said, at the Lancaster General Health, we now have hospitals willing to have outsiders come in to mentor people newly diagnosed, help set up programs for people living with dementia. There's so many. I'm now having my my neighbors are not afraid to talk to me. That's a huge success for me. When they got out that Harry has dementia, it's like I'm back in the days when my house was the only house in the neighborhood. Now people greet me on the street and talk to me, and the first thing out of their mouth isn't, "How are you doing?" And that's a huge success because we are breaking down the stigma that go with this disease. It's a slow process, but we're slowly getting there.
Yes, we are, and I'm happy to hear that. And I'm sorry that people have to go through that isolation, and it's out of fear. I remember having fear myself in the beginning out of ignorance, because I've never had a family member or friend with Alzheimer's. Now I have many friends with Alzheimer's, but initially I had a fear. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how to act. And, part of that was selfish. I think I was afraid to embarrass myself. But once you start to understand, and, it becomes a lot easier, and people are just people, and they just want to have a friend and be treated normal. So, I'm trying to help educate people myself from my perspective, and having, interviews with guys like you that are living successfully with dementia, in my opinion, I think can help that.
You'd be surprised now with my blog. It's my thoughts on dementia, and when I'm talking to a group, it's my thoughts, okay? And so many people don't believe what I'm saying, but that's okay. It's still my thoughts. They have no idea it's as bad as what I'm saying. When I talk to them about what it's like living with this disease, this group on this side, I can't believe that. He's exaggerating. And this group on this side says, I recognize that. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, what we have to do is unite them. Okay,
Right.
so we all know what it's like, and do something about it. Let's stop talking about it. Let's do something.
Right. And it's, since it's an invisible disease, Harry, for instance, engaging with you today in this chat, we went through some technical issues in the beginning. We worked through them. If I didn't know you had dementia, I wouldn't know it. But then I read your blog and I see what's going on behind the scenes, and some of the challenges you face, and it really touches me, inspires me, and educates me. And most people don't, they're busy at work, and they don't have the time or the desire to learn about that. So everything you do, you got, any of you that are doing this, there are a lot of us out there that are learning from you, and we're going to share and all. So I just wanted to let you know how, it helps me in that regard.
I just wrote a blog today on how we hide our disease, and a lot of celebrities are coming out now in their late stages and saying, I have dementia. And so many people say that, gee, I didn't know that, or he or she should have come out years ago. They could have helped so many people. But they don't for a simple reason, because they're judged, and being judged hurt. I just went through, in the past couple of days, I just through an experience like that really, I made the mistake of coming out of the closet and describing my dark side of my disease. I got so many people judged me, and I tried to explain, this is my thoughts. This is what I'm living. It's not right or wrong. It's real to me. And I found out that that I'm a showman. I can go out and I can talk about the hope of living with this disease and things like that, but I can't go out and tell you what it's like. And very, very few people ever hear me talk about the downside of dementia. You don't know about the horrors. You don't know about the fears we live every day. And usually when I get that way, I lock myself. I use the words, I lock myself away like a caged animal, because that's the way I feel at times. Now, the other day, I forgot the keys, and I let my feelings out, and I realized that I can't do that because people judge me. They're not ready to hear that. And that's why celebrities don't come out. That's why a lot of people don't admit that they have some kind of, people say, well, why would you hide the fact? Well, you hide the fact so you don't get hurt.
Right, right. That's a shame. That's the society we're in, but that's why, guys like you are establishing United Against Dementia to try to fix that, for lack of better words, or, at least write the course to make it easier on the millions and millions of people that are going to be diagnosed over the next couple of years. And, I tell people, if you're standing in the grocery store in line with 10 to 20 people, there's probably at least 2 of them that have some dementia going on. The odds are that high, and but I think we're making strides. You've been living with it much longer than I've been aware of what's going on. So I think you've said you've seen strides and all. So United Against Dementia. So what's next for you? What's your mission going to be here?
I want United Against Dementia to be huge, not with my name attached to it. I don't want my name attached to it.
Right.
I want the movement to grow.
Okay.
Okay. And there's so many walls we have to break down. I want to see dementia-friendly cities. A lot of people don't know what I'm talking about when I say dementia-friendly cities. I want to see dementia-friendly businesses. Things like when my wife and I go out to eat, it's a nightmare for me because it's nothing but choices for me to order a meal.
Right.
Cup of coffee, tea. What do you want to drink? And then if I say coffee, decaf, regular. Do you want sugar? It goes on and on and on. And we have to make businesses realize that become dementia friendly. If you're in a grocery store and I come in and I make a purchase and I'm struggling with making change, somebody has to be able to help them out. A good example is when we started to this chat, we had difficulties. I didn't know what to do, and you kind of led me through the steps to get me here to where I'm at. We have to have people willing to do that and understand that I needed help, that I can't figure this out. I mean, don't sit there and wait for me to figure it out because I'm not going to be able to. No, you have to step up and you have to help me.
Excuse me. Yeah, your point's well taken, and I want to share with our viewers though that the technical issues Harry experienced were not his fault. It was Google's fault. So he did a really good job, and so Harry, how can I think for measuring success for United with Dementia, you'd say that it's a world without dementia.
Well, I'm going to measure the effect by the people I talk to, having a change in their attitudes, their view, their hopes, their dreams. I'm going to see more dementia patients climbing their own mountain, doing things, get up out of the chair and do things. Just because you were diagnosed with this disease doesn't mean you can't follow your dreams. It doesn't mean you can't have dreams. That's how I'm going to know if United Against Dementia is a success. It's not by, that's why it's not a group where you join. It's not by the numbers. It's by the success that we see. And once I start seeing more memory cafes set up, things like that. Now, everybody has their own memory cafe. Everybody's going to do their own thing. The volunteer program, everybody's going to do it their way, and that's good. The mentor program, they're going to do it their way. But you know what? We're following the same path, and we're going to the same goal.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Harry. And I just had a thought of maybe when we have our memory cafes going here, we'll set up a Skype or a chat like this, and we'll have you visit us out here in sunny
wonderful.
California. You may not be able to. You'll feel the warmth from our spirits and warm you up in that way. So So tell me, Harry, what can our listeners do? Or is there anything that you can tell them, suggest that they do to help?
Yes, stand up and speak out. Okay. Um, don't sit back waiting on somebody else to fix this problem. You have to get involved. Don't wait on the government to come up with a miracle cure. Um, I will never see that miracle cure. I don't have that many years left,
Right.
but I will see a better quality of life. So get
True.
involved.
Okay. Yeah, let's all get involved and help out. And Harry, I really appreciate your time today. This is a
Oh,
great,
thank you.
great conversation, and I think we can together and united we can really make a difference and spread the word, change the stigmas, increase awareness. Before we close out, do you have any final thoughts or comments you'd like to make?
Sure, it doesn't matter if it's Together This or if it's United Against Dementia. They're the same.
Absolutely. I fully agree, Harry. And I really thank you. And, that's a very insightful conversation on the Together in this show here. And we're going to continue to have conversations to empower people who are fighting back against dementia. And to me, it sounds like United Against Dementia it's what overdue. It's needed. And I think it's off to a great start. And I think our viewers can get a hold of me or Harry and, you know, reach out in your communities to try to make a difference. And I'd like to thank our audience for joining us today. And don't forget to check out Harry's Facebook group, Forget Me Not, or his blog at mythoughtsondementia.com. And also don't forget to stop over to togetherinthis.com and check out our many resources. And if you can't find something you're looking for, just drop me an email through the contact form there and let me know so I can help you out. So goodbye to everyone and have an empowered day.